The American dream said, make six figures and you've made it. So why does it feel like you're barely surviving? You finally did it. After years of grinding, the late nights, the extra shifts, the degree you're still paying off, you cracked six figures, $100,000 a year. You thought the stress would disappear. You thought you'd finally exhale. But here you are, checking your bank account on a Tuesday morning, heart sinking, wondering where it all went. You are not imagining things. You are not bad with money. You are living inside a system that was never designed for you to feel okay. And today, we are going to talk about exactly why. Let's start with the number that sounds so powerful, $100,000. In 1980, that was extraordinary wealth. You could buy a house, raise a family, take vacations, and still retire comfortably. But this is not 1980. This is an America where the cost of existing has quietly, ruthlessly, relentlessly outpaced the paychecks people are actually bringing home.
Here's what $100,000 actually looks like after the government takes its share. In most states, after federal income tax, state tax, Social Security, and Medicare, you're walking away with somewhere between $68,000 and $72,000 in take-home pay. That's the real number, not $100K, not even close. So before you buy a single grocery item, fill up your gas tank, or pay a single bill, the government has already taken roughly 30 cents of every dollar you earned. And that's just the beginning. Now let's talk about where the rest goes. The average one-bedroom apartment in a mid-tier American city, not New York, not San Francisco, just somewhere decent, runs between $1,400 and $2,200 a month. That's potentially $26,400 a year just to have a roof over your head. Add a car payment, insurance, groceries, utilities, internet, phone, and you haven't even had a single meal out, bought new clothes, or done anything that resembles living. You're just surviving. I want to stop for a moment, because this isn't just a math problem. This is a feeling. It's the feeling of scrolling through your bank account at midnight, calculating whether you can afford to get your car's check engine light looked at, or if that has to wait until next month. It's the feeling of saying, I can't make it, to a friend's birthday dinner, not because you don't love them, but because $60 for a dinner out isn't in the budget this week. It's the quiet shame that nobody talks about. Because you make good money, you're not supposed to struggle. People around you assume you have it together. Maybe you assume that too, right up until reality shows up. And the cruelest part, you look successful from the outside. You have a nice job title. You drive a decent car. You live in a decent apartment. But inside, there's this constant low-grade anxiety, this background hum of financial stress that never fully goes away. That feeling has a name. Economists call it income to cost of living misalignment. But let's be honest about what it really is. It's the gap between what America promised you and what America actually delivered. There are three forces, three financial monsters, that specifically target people in the 80K, 120K range. And most financial advisors won't tell you about them directly because they're structural, not behavioral. Monster number one, the housing trap. You make too much to qualify for housing assistance, but you don't make enough to comfortably afford the housing the market offers. In cities like Austin, Denver, Nashville, and Miami, markets that used to be affordable alternatives, median home prices have surged past $450,000 to $550,000. At a 7% mortgage rate, which is where we've been sitting, that's a monthly payment north of $3,000 before taxes and insurance. That's more than a third of your take-home pay. Gone. Just for shelter. Monster number two, the inflation squeeze. Between 2020 and 2024, grocery prices rose nearly 25%. Eggs, bread, chicken, gas, things that used to be thoughtless purchases became budget line items. Your salary may have gone up 5% or maybe even 10%, but when the things you need every single day cost 25% more, you are mathematically poorer even if the number on your paycheck got bigger. That's not a spending problem. That's arithmetic. Monster number three, the debt shadow. The average American with a college degree carries $37,000 in student loan debt. Add a car loan. Add credit card balances that grew during lean years. Add medical debt, because one unexpected health scare can cost thousands even with insurance.
For millions of people earning $100K, anywhere from $800 to $1,500 a month goes directly to debt repayment. That's money that never touches your life. It never becomes a memory, a vacation, a safety net. It just disappears into the past. Here's something that sounds obvious but carries enormous emotional weight. $100,000 in Mississippi is not the same as $100,000 in California. In Jackson, Mississippi, $100K puts you in the top 15% of earners. Housing is affordable. Life has breathing room. You might genuinely feel comfortable. In San Jose, California, that same $100,000 puts you below the area's median household income. You might qualify for certain low-income housing programs. Not because you're poor in absolute terms, but because the local cost of living has completely warped the meaning of your salary. This is why the phrase six figures lost its power. Because six figures in Los Angeles, New York, Seattle, or Washington, D.C. often means you're one emergency away from financial chaos. Rent alone in these cities can consume 50 to 60% of take-home income for a single person. And yet, these are often the places where the jobs are, the careers, the opportunities. It's a trap dressed up as a reward. Now, and I say this with absolute love and zero judgment, we have to talk about us. Because the system creates real pressure, but we sometimes help it along. When you start earning more, something subtle happens. The people around you shift, your expectations shift. The baseline for what feels normal quietly rises. The apartment gets upgraded, the car gets newer, the restaurants get nicer, the vacations get longer. And none of those individual decisions feel like a mistake in the moment. They feel earned, because they are. But lifestyle inflation, the slow, invisible creep of spending rising with income, is one of the most powerful forces keeping high earners feeling broke. It's not about being irresponsible. It's about being human. We compare, we keep up, we reward ourselves for the hard work, and we should. But when rewards happen every month on a rotating basis, they stop being rewards and start being expenses. The question isn't whether you deserve things. The question is, are you building a life or building a lifestyle that's quietly bankrupting your future? Here's the truth that changes everything. The problem is not that you earn too little. The problem is that the game was presented to you with the wrong rules. You were told, earn more and you'll be fine. The actual rule is, the gap between what you earn and what you spend is the only number that matters. A person earning $60,000 who saves $1,000 a month is in better financial shape than someone earning $120,000 who saves nothing. That's not an insult, that's math, and math can be changed. Here's where to start. First, know your real number, not your salary, your take-home after every deduction. That is the only number your life runs on. Second, attack housing ruthlessly. It is your single biggest lever. House hack if you can. Negotiate. Relocate if the math works. Housing is the one expense that, if reduced, improves everything else. Third, separate your debt from your life. Create a dedicated debt payoff plan, even an aggressive one, so you can see the end. Debt without a plan is a psychological anchor. Fourth, build a margin, not just a budget, not just tracking spending, but creating deliberate space between income and expenses. That space is your freedom fund. And finally, stop measuring your success by your paycheck alone. Net worth, savings rate, financial runway. These are the numbers that tell the truth about where you're headed. If you made it to the end of this video, I want you to hear something important. The fact that you're struggling on a salary most people would call good money does not make you a failure. It makes you a person navigating an economy that has quietly made survival expensive and peace of mind a luxury. You are not alone in this. Millions of Americans sit exactly where you sit, hardworking, well-earning, and still feeling the weight of financial anxiety pressing down on them every single month. But awareness is where the shift begins. Because once you see the system clearly, once you understand why the math hasn't been working, you can start changing the math. You earned your way to this income. Now let's make sure that income actually works for you. If this video opened your eyes, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below. Tell me, Does 100K feel like enough where you live? I read every single one.